Go ahead, call the city, Karen laughed, loud enough for every neighbor and camera to hear. They work for people like me. I smiled, because that was the moment I knew she had already lost. The HOA meeting room smelled like cheap coffee and expensive arrogance. Karen stood at the front, red blazer, tighter smile, reading violation notices like she was announcing prison sentences. My name came last, dragged out slow for effect. Neighbors shifted, some embarrassed, some entertained. Karen leaned closer to the microphone. Maybe if you people followed rules, property values wouldn't suffer. A few people chuckled. One even clapped. My chest burned, but my voice stayed calm. I simply asked, "Can you repeat that for the record?" She did. Louder. Three board members looked nervous. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy enjoying the spotlight. That was 30 days before the city auditors showed up unannounced. If you love powerful stories, you don't want to miss this. But before we continue, tell us where you are watching from. It makes us happy to see how far our stories travel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I didn't fight the HOA. I documented them. Every email, every illegal fine, every selective enforcement notice. Karen thought pressure would break me. Instead, it built a timeline. The funniest part? She kept CCing me on messages where the board joked about teaching lessons. By week 3, I stopped arguing completely. I just said, "Noted. Please continue communicating in writing." And I waited. The city inspectors didn't knock. They arrived like a silent storm. Two men in crisp uniforms, one woman with a tablet, all moving with calm authority that immediately made Karen sweat. Karen tried every tactic she knew. Charm first, flustered outrage next. Then blatant threats. None of it worked. I followed them into the lobby, binder in hand, neighbors peeking from behind doors. Karen, red blazer now slightly wrinkled, glanced at me and scoffed. "This won't change anything," she hissed. One inspector lifted a sheet of paper. "Who approved these fines that aren't even compliant with city codes?" Karen froze. Her board members looked around like deer caught in headlights. I handed over my neatly organized binder. Every email, take every selective enforcement notice, every illegal fine, even screenshots of the board joking about breaking resident spirits. Karen laughed. Too loud, too fake. "This is harassment. He's obsessed with targeting us." The tablet-wielding officer finally spoke. "Actually, ma'am, your own messages show otherwise. You instructed board members to escalate fines because he won't fight back." Karen's smirk faltered. One of her board members coughed awkwardly. Another shifted in place, uncomfortable. Karen tried to regain control, pointing at me like I was a criminal. I simply smiled, calm, quiet, unshakable. By the end of the hour, Karen was muttering under her breath. Threats evaporated. Charm failed. Her power was gone, replaced with a strange, growing fear. And the neighbors, they were finally seeing her for what she really was. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't loud, it's patient, precise, and perfectly documented. Karen's lawyer stormed in, expensive suit, expensive confidence, but the room had already changed. He whispered urgently to Karen, "Say nothing else." She didn't listen. "Look at him," she barked, pointing at me. "He's trying to destroy this community." The lawyer closed his eyes slowly. That subtle sigh, the one that says, "I cannot save this weekend," was priceless. A legal officer slid a document across the table. "Ma'am, this is a copy of your email instructing board members to make examples out of certain residents." Karen laughed nervously. "That's taken out of context." "Page 2, the officer said calmly. She read. Her confident smirk dissolved. Page 2 wasn't just her words. It was the replies. Board members joking, ranking residents by who was easiest to pressure, even laughing at fines set purely for intimidation. One message suggested raising penalties specifically because he won't fight back. Karen's hands trembled. She tried to speak, but words wouldn't come. The lawyer muttered, "My client wants to cooperate." The tablet-wielding officer tapped the screen. "It's too late. Effective immediately, the city is placing the HOA under administrative review." Gasps filled the lobby. Karen's board looked like people realizing they'd boarded the wrong train, and it had already left. Karen clutched the table, blinking at me. "You planned this." I smiled faintly. "No," I said. "You documented it for me." Outside, neighbors peeked in, whispering. Some smiled, some nodded. Some finally understood that arrogance always leaves a mark. Karen spun toward the glass doors, hoping for support. None came. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quiet rejection. The weight of every sneer, every mocked resident, every petty email finally landed. The city legal officer adjusted his jacket, voice calm and unshakable. Effective immediately, all HOA financial authority is suspended. The city will manage operations until the investigation concludes. Karen's face went pale. You can't replace us. We're not replacing you, he said softly. We're correcting you. Board members shuffled papers, eyes darting, realizing the plane had left the runway, and they weren't on it. One slid a resignation letter across the table, then another, then another. Karen stood alone, red blazer wrinkled, makeup smudged, power evaporated. I walked past her, binder in hand, calm as ever. She whispered, You planned this. No, I said. You documented it for me. Outside, neighbors peeked through glass doors, some nodding, some smiling, one older woman quietly squeezing my shoulder. Justice didn't roar, it settled quietly, beautifully. 3 weeks later, the city released preliminary findings. Unauthorized fines, selective enforcement, misuse of resident funds, harassment confirmed. Karen resigned before the final report dropped. The sweetest twist? The new city-appointed housing committee asked if I'd serve as a resident compliance advisor. I accepted. Because real revenge isn't about shouting, it's about patience, precision, and watching truth dismantle arrogance piece by piece. Karen? Gone. Her empire of petty terror dissolved. Neighbors? Grateful, awed, relieved. And me? Quietly victorious. Knowing that sometimes the best way to win is to let someone else do the heavy lifting while you just keep your cool. Please like, comment, and subscribe.